Absolutely, yeah. So I'm talking to you. This is my colleague Timo. He's a beautiful guy. Um, nice to be here, actually. Fun to be here. My name is Jonsson. I'm responsible for the channel in the Baltics and Nordics. So based in Stockholm. So today I want to talk a little bit who ForcePoint is and a little bit how we are thinking of security in that way, how we are building our products, and then how we can help to your digital way to digitalize securely into the cloud. It's not so long time, so I wanted to show a demo, but I clicked out some pictures instead to make it easier instead of changing. And yeah, you know, the demo ghost is never working when you want to. So yeah, that's the way what I said. Yes, how to go forward and how to get visibility when you are accessing your digitalizing to the cloud. I saw a TV show actually last week when we just discussed this digitalization journey, how hard it is. But they said the digitalization world is going like this. The security is going like this. So security is behind. And often when you do security, it adds some obstacles for the users, etc. So I want to show a little bit how we can do it to make it seamlessly without interfering on the users, how they work today. So a little bit about ForcePoint, a little bit hard to see, but it was created 2016 by a company called Raytheon. Raytheon is working in the defense industry. They want to find a way to get the products out on the market, on the private market. So, and they also saw a gap because as we are vendors in the industry and we are just pushing out products all the time and we think we are solving a problem, but we still have the same problem. We have still hacking, malware, etc. into companies, so it's quite hard to protect. So what we were thinking, or the company were thinking, that to focus on what's the most important. It's the humans that turns zeros into ones in the system, and also looking at the data. So if you combine these two, you get a lot of information, and you can take a lot of good decision on that as well. So I will explain this in this scenario, what we are doing, how we're thinking. This I usually make a drawing of this one, but I did this in a presentation, so let's see how it works in this. But often the problem is as an end customer when we meet them, it's the visibility, what's happening in your network. You maybe have a SIM solution, that's great, but there's still too much information to what to do with it. So we want to, when a customer moves to cloud, for instance, installation, enabling Office 365, for instance, we are starting to move things out in the cloud. We need to get that visibility.
I'm terribly sorry. Is Abbas Olenka here? No. Okay.
No. Sorry. No. You're welcome. So, and we also, you want to get visibility into endpoints. See what's happening at the endpoints. Could be a nurse accessing data about the patient, or X-rays, etc. It could be a sales guy in a sales center accessing customer information with credit cards or whatever. Actually, what's happening on the endpoint. Get that visibility, and also what's happening on the network. See what's happening on the network. Are we storing right information or right data on right servers, for instance? Are we moving data from the network to the cloud, what's happening? Is it okay? Today, it's quite hard to get that visibility. So what we are doing, we want to analyze this, set a context on what's happening. So when a human or a user, let's say they're accessing, it's a developer our system, a consultant, not in our offices employed, accessing data on the network and then move it to the cloud. So if we can set context on that, if that's a good behavior or not good behavior. So, and also take action of what he's doing or her doing to look at that risk level. So I think this is one of the main, what we can do as ForcePoint in almost our products. We're building it. And I will show you in later. I have a demo outside, but I can show you later. But we can enforce that. We can actually take action. What's happening? If we don't want this guy to move data from the network into the cloud, we can stop it. We maybe don't want him to accessing data and put it on a laptop or into a USB stick. We can take different actions on that behavior. And one important thing is that we also, when you talked about GDPR, we can investigate. So we can get control of both these options. So, and we do this automatically. So, you can see, yeah. To understand the user and the data. Another one of our corporate pictures of what we're doing, it's that in the traditional way, you have one policy, you are all static policies, but we are moving out to a risk-adapted centric view instead. So wherever you are, what you are accessing, we can actually take a decision on that, independent on what type of IPs or what user, what data, and if it's on-site or in the cloud or it's on a laptop or whatever. So why protect the cloud? Why are we so good at protecting the cloud? Because we can make this happen both on-premise and in the cloud. So if you look at the numbers, this is not our numbers, it's actually our colleagues in the business and actually authentic numbers. So around 43% of corporate data is actually stored in the cloud. So it's happening, and this is in your EMEA. And maybe the worst thing is that 53% of this data is not managed by IT. So we don't have any control of this company data that's stored in the cloud. And also this one, don't get a hiccup, but we also buy this shadow IT. It's hard to get control because over 50% of when a company or organization is buying a new application to the company is not through IT department. So they have no control of what they're doing. So it's a tricky one for company. So just some numbers. I love numbers, no. But we checked our customers in the Nordics from 500-600 users and up. We have quite big span of users. But they have around 1,000 applications per company. And they get a little bit worried when they look at this, when you do this test or you get in and check how your environments look like. So at ForcePoint, we have 2,700 users 2,800 now, maybe. Yeah, we're growing. So, but we are around 700 applications that we as a users are using differently. And we also say that by 2020, very soon, that 1/3 will be hacked through this with shadow IT applications. A couple of things I just want to highlight what we think is important, and I really think it's worth thinking, because I'm Swedish, so I take this as an example. But in Sweden, for instance, oversharing files and documents has been a huge problem in Sweden. It's on the news almost every week. Some company or some organization is leaking or doing something wrong because they are oversharing. So my son's school, for instance, they overshared. It was hacked. They had so much money to build this school platform, but it's open. So they have to close it because you're oversharing data. Third party addressing cloud apps. How do you access your cloud apps today? Office 365, could you access your Office 365 from your laptop, your mobile, and maybe your son's computer or your wife's computer, or yeah. So you need to have this security around this as well. Admins, also one of the biggest thing I've heard lately as well, because they are really under attack from hackers. They're phishing, etc. It's happening a lot. And of course, the cloud, it's so big. It's so easy to find a way in. Employees using also, they are creative. They're using, we have some developer that pushing, they didn't want to, I think it's hard to store it at the office or in the cloud. So they're using their own applications. So a little bit of summarize. It's difficult to get that visibility even in the cloud. It's not under IT. IT don't have control of the environment. Traditional solutions are pushing that again. You need something new. You need to find, of course, you don't throw out your firewall, but you need to add something that actually can look at these things. We divide it into, all the businesses dividing this into 2 different application types. This is unsanctioned cloud application. That is the application that we see, and we can actually get some control of this. This is in our web product. We can get control of all this. We can actually get visibility how many applications we are using, which are we using, which are the most risky application. Maybe we could take a decision of should we really use this application or not. To store things like, should I put my company data on my company Dropbox or my personal Dropbox? We could help to make that decision. And if you look at the products we really maybe need to look at, so we call that the sanctioned cloud application. This application, we are moving, let's say, take Office 365. Earlier we had it on-premise, we had good control of that data. Now we actually, I met a customer 2 weeks ago and they said, no, we have nothing in the cloud. We're only using Office 365. Yeah, but it's in the cloud. So you need to get control of this application as well. And with our products, the first one we could do with our web proxy solution. It's included, so we can get a quite good control of what's happening with the application. To manage the application, we need another tool, actually. So, I know some of this is built in Office 365, but you often don't only have Office or Microsoft's products. So it can scale. So if you look at what ForcePoint have, we have 10 or 15 managed application that we really can take decision of what's happening. If I'm moving data, I can actually prevent this. I can see what's in the application, what data is there, etc. So who is accessing it? And we can actually manage all applications. I can show you later. So something about our product, our CASB, Cloud Access Security Broker, is that we today can actually see what's happening in a cloud application. If someone is trying to accessing this, we can see on the behavior what's happening. So I will show you some slides of that. And also this is like when you have an organization, you have so many events, you don't know where to look. It's really hard to get that visibility. So with user behavior, actually we can, I will show you later, get the most risky users at that minute. Get that up in dashboard and take action quite fast. We could put that data, if you have a cyber defense center or a SOC, we can put that data into another as well. So we have open IP. Bring your own device. We can also take a decision on device when you access this cloud application. So maybe if I'm coming with my wife's computer, I need a two-factor authorization, for instance. Cloud monitoring, I also show you that. How we can see and get control what application is used. How much data is leaving company, how much data is coming in, etc. Get the control. And also we have a quite cool tool to evaluate an cloud application as well. We also have integrated DLP, data leakage. So we can actually extend, if you really don't want that finance report to get out, we can actually extend that to the cloud. Fastest time to value, we have, as many of our products, we have built-in policies. So I could choose Latvia as a region. I get the local hospital names. I get everything is localized. So you don't have to put that in. So it's just you choose the region, choose the country, and you got all this automatically up in the system. So it's quite fast tool. So I don't know about timing. We'll move on. Yeah. So this is our tool. I don't know if you see, but here we can really fast see what uses that is on risk, what is happening. We can actually drill down on this user and see, wow, he has been downloading a lot of things in a short time frame at this period. We had one girl who went to Black Hat last year, and we could see in this tool internally that her telephone was, she has an iPhone, but she was hacked at that event. So we could see in that center it was Android that trying to log in. So depending on use case, we can see a lot of different things in this one. But we can get up the most riskiest users. We can take action quite fast. And this was also talking about get control of the application. This is our demo site. It's around 1,600 application, a lot of users, but this is quite normal. The application is quite normal. It's not like the users quite a lot, but the data also quite normal. We can see how much data that is actually going out from a company and what we are downloading. And sometimes it's quite scary because, wow, what is this data? If let's say I had one company that checked that they have 300-400 gigs of data that we're uploading. What is that data? Is it company data or is it pictures of my wife? Or you don't know. So you need to get control of that. We can also say that you have, in this case, 40 risk applications. We will suggest that you will block some of this or make some changes on it. You can say risk scoring on that as well, individually. It could be you have an application that you are using, you're trusting, but we are maybe blocking it or we think it's a risk application. It could be because we're checking a lot of metrics on application. So it could be that this don't have two authentication or something like that. You can also analyze which application in what area they are, etc. And we can then go in and take action on the application as well, if we allow them, etc. We also have this cloud application. We have customers that really like it because when you have let's say you will check G Suite and you go in, check what is the criteria, what we think about the risk scoring, but you also got suggestion of maybe another type of application as well. But maybe it's better. G Suite is low risk, so it's not so good example, but if you checking, we have, I think it's almost all, but if you want to have, if you have an own application, we can add it into this as well. We'll open up IPs. Compliance, as I said, GDPR, for instance. This is a check for Office 365. We can see how many sensitive documents we have, who is owning them, in what area they are. And we can also add more services on this, depending on how sensitive documents are. So let's say who is sharing sensitive data through different channels. Again, we also have this Audit Protect. You can use this as well, like a dashboard. You could push this to a SIM or whatever, actually, to help you to find bad behavior. And as I said, policies out of the box. You can rewrite them. It's quite complex policy you can do as this as well. But we have predefined a lot. Just some takeaways. I think this is my thoughts. I understand the behavior. But I think the most important is that you don't want to create a friction between the user and the security. You need to make it so easy as possible. And it's very hard. But I would say, actually, as ForcePoint, we have quite easy products. It's easy to adapt. We can also adapt it in so many ways. So if you look at it, if you have a client install, not a client install, redirect, etc. So it's, depending on the company, you can really easy install and move on. Quite easy, without interfering so much with the user, because that is almost a big problem. Yeah, that was all. Quick one. No questions.